Well, Merry Christmas. Welcome to the Jim of All Trades channel. Glad you made it by. My name's Jim. I'm a crypto trader. I'm a Forex trader. And I'm here to help you understand the market the way I do. I use an Elliott Wave perspective. That's my edge in the market. And of course, I use all the standard technical indicators as well as technical analysis that you're mostly familiar with. But when you add Elliott Wave theory to it, it makes it a nice, powerful tool. So glad you made it by this Christmas Eve. Hope you're having a good time with your family and just taking a couple minutes here. Don't watch the charts too much, but taking a couple minutes to look at the charts. And I hope this video helps you to kind of get ready for the next couple of days of price action. So we're going to jump right in. I'm going to make it kind of a quick video, but I got a lot of things I want to talk about as well. So we got to get right in. So let's do it. Don't forget, this isn't financial advice, never intended to be so. And yeah, just use your own due diligence. Please don't trade my charts, trade the market as it comes. I'm just giving you my best look at the market as what we might expect and how to prepare for it. So with that being said, let's get into it. All right, so we finally had our move yesterday. Yesterday when we left off the video, I said, hey, listen, if I was looking down, that was my bias. We were bouncing off this line. I said, if we break this line, my bias is going to be bear bias very strongly with not much more upside to go. I believe this wave is finished. This wave to the upside is complete. I don't think we have any more to go. I think everything we get from this point on is going to be downward movement. Why do I say that? Well, it looks like a finished 5 waves. That's number one. Number two, we've got hidden bearish divergence that has been validated by this down move. Okay, we have passed beyond a mark, and I put it on the chart yesterday. I've since taken it off, but I'll put it back on here, right here. That if this is going to be some kind of a fourth wave, and then we get one more push to the upside to the $7,800 target that I was looking at, then we could not break this 7230 region in that ballpark. So because we did, that means this 4 wave is not a 4 wave because it has broken the level of the 1. And then we most likely will be heading down from here. The only way that I can possibly see this going up from here is that this is some kind of a 4th wave, and that this was the top of our 3rd wave. Now I don't like that very much at all. It doesn't look, it doesn't look symmetrical like that. It looks like it's finished now. But, Bitcoin surprises us often, and so I'm always trying to think outside of the box to see if there's any way that Bitcoin could surprise me. So I want to be mindful of that. So we're going to get ready for this market in several ways. First off, let's just take a peek at some of the things that we've seen over and over and over, what Bitcoin does by habit. Okay, first off, you'll notice these lines that I've drawn on my chart here. You'll see these lines every time we got to run up. Okay, so let's go all the way back to this the $3,000 push that we had here. I drew the same line that I've drawn over here. I've drawn that same line right here. And once we break that line, guys, it's down. Okay, it's down. So we had a push up, we came up, and then when we broke it to the downside. So generally, now what you'll notice is that we often have a downward push and then a retest of that level. Okay, often if the line is close enough at an angle like that, it'll come and retest that line and then come on down. But this one obviously was too steep. Okay, let's go to the next line. Let's see what we got. So we had a push up right here as well. I've drawn that line, the trend line across the bottom. Once we broke it, we came down to the downside, but we had a retest of that level. So I think we can expect a retest sometime soon, sometime in the next day or so. So we had a push. We're having a push down. Who knows when that'll be finished? This is a similar push down, and then we're going to probably have a quick retest, and then we're going to continue down with some choppiness. So we'll have to wait and see how price action goes. Okay, let's look at the next one here. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here. So I drew a similar line here. We had a break of it, a retest of it, second retest, and then we came on down. This was a stop punt, and then we came on down. Okay, now this is where we are in the chart. I've got the line drawn right here. I don't like the shape of that. You can see how odd and how weird that is, but that's what we've got. We've had a break of it. We're probably going to come on down. I imagine we're going to come down to about the 70-79 region, to the $7,100 region, because that's where our support lies. If we break that for some reason and continue down, our next area of support is really not until we get to 67. Or maybe $6,900. Yeah, $6,900. I don't like this as support, but we can. It's some structure there. It's going to be a small, probably going to be some bouncy bounce there, maybe. Anyway, but we do have some wide open space here, guys, and it's not looking good. Not looking good for the market as far as to the upside. Looking down still to me. So we got some areas here of potential bounces here. Now, what kind of bounces we get and how big they are, I cannot tell you. Okay, but be aware that these are areas that the market will tend to bounce. Will tend to, have a pushback and scare you at least. Okay, so 70, 79, 7100 in that ballpark, 6900, and then 6800. Those are the areas that I would be watching. And then after that, then our bottom is the last place of support where we'll see some kind of a potential bounce. Okay, all right. Now let's look at it from the RSI perspective. Now, just kind of looking at, we do have hidden hidden bearish divergence. Hidden bearish divergence. What is that? Well, we have the RSI. Okay, we had the strength of this move pushing up. Okay, but the strength of this move was even stronger than the strength of this move relatively. That's why we call this the relative strength indicator. So relatively, this is a stronger move than that one. Okay, however, it wasn't able to push price up beyond the price of this. So it didn't take, in other words, the pressure to the downside was overcome by a strength of a move to the upside to this one. Now, we have pressure to the downside, and this had more strength to the upside, but the pressure to the downside kept it to be a lower high. In other words, we couldn't surpass the last high. That indicates that the pressure to the downside is greater than the pressure to the upside. Okay, even though the strength of the move is increasing, the peak of the pushback is decreasing, and so that's what we call hidden bearish divergence. And so that's what we've got on the chart. It's clear as day, and it seems to be confirmed here on the smaller time frame 4-hour chart at least. Okay. Secondly, I want to look at the 2-hour chart and just kind of show you a couple things as well. I like the 2-hour chart as a signal chart for a lot of reasons. I look for divergence on that 2-hour chart for a signal for larger swings. Okay, so what I like to see, for instance, here I like to see divergence as well. So we had for instance down here we had divergence from this wave to this wave, okay, and then we had a crossover of the moving average. Once we get that, that's a good indicator we're going to have a move to the upside that's going to take us back to the overbought region most likely. Okay, now this had some sideways action within a range for a while, but we've just recently kind of maxed out here. We've actually reached a high that we haven't hit since we went up to the the $3,000 push back in October. So we've actually reached a place on the RSI that hasn't maxed out that high since that day. And so really, and if I go back through the history, there aren't that many days where we had that much maxing out. So that tells me we probably hit a local high here, guys. We probably hit a high. We're going to probably be heading down. Now, how we head down and how fast we head down, I cannot say. My gut is telling me that we're going to get a sharper move to the downside towards the end of the year. For tax reason, for tax reasons, maybe for those that are in, whatever. We run it down at the end of the year, and then they run it up once the year begins to make their profits. I don't know how they work. I don't know how they operate. That being said, I'm not sure how that's going to function or how that even plays in. I'm fairly ignorant about those things, but something I've heard and considered, and at least worthy of saying for you to think about. If you know about those things, that aspect of the market, you might consider sharing that in the comments. We do have divergence on the 2-hour chart here. We had a higher high made right here, right there, boom, while we had a lower high on the RSI made. Now we are coming down. We are coming down, not now. We are coming down to reaching the oversold regions, but we haven't made it yet. But we are kind of flattening out on the RSI. And whenever it does that, it indicates an intermediate kind of a turn in the market. Okay, right here we had kind of a flattening out here. There was another push to the downside, but it wasn't majorly strong, but it was there. And then we had an upturn before we went down completely. So chances are we're going to have price is going to continue coming down to this region here while the RSI kind of resets a little bit, okay? And then we're going to, it might even reach up to this region here as this kind of comes up a little bit and then continue tanking. So that's a potential price path. We might get a deeper push to the high as well. I'm not sure how that's going to play out, so we have to, we can only guess, only looking at past price, but that doesn't tell you what's going to happen in the future for certain. We just look at that and say, okay, this happened before. We can possibly use that to our advantage to see what might happen in the again, or if it could happen in that same way. All right. What else are we looking for here? I'm just kind of talking about the technicals here, apart from Elliott Wave for now. Let me jump into the Elliott Wave piece of this now. We have finished this expanded flat, guys, and I've been saying for several days that, even though we had bullish divergence here, you have bullish divergence when we have expanded flats. Go back in the last couple of days videos, you'll see information about that. But right now we have a running flat here, and we're moving to the downside. Again, I'm expecting a wave 1 to finish out, then a wave 2, and then a 3, 4, 5 to finish. So I'm looking for a 5-wave move to the downside, guys. So that means I'm really kind of looking for kind of a big move to the downside. Why do I say a big move? Well, we had in my opinion, this is a 5-wave move here. Okay, could be interpreted as a WXY, but it's really odd shape for a WXY. So my inclination is to call this a 5-wave move to the downside, followed by a 3-wave move. So if I have a 5-wave followed by a 3-wave, that's putting me looking for another 5-wave to the downside to finish our Z wave here down here. Still looking at the $5,700 region as my first target to the downside. Obviously, we're going to bounce before that, so don't think that we're just going to go straight there. But shoot, who knows? We might go straight there. So I can't tell you. I can't be certain. I am currently short now. I've been short. And we're hovering right around my entry. I didn't have the best entry in the world, but I'm in short, and I'm happy where I am for the reward that I expect to get. So that being said, let's look into this wave here, see if we can understand that wave on the smaller time frame. All right, here. Smaller time frame. This just doesn't look finished, okay? My inclination for now is that we have a 1-2 and we're making the 3rd wave right now. Not a very deep 2 wave, but that's it's been kind of indicative of Bitcoin here. Sometimes when we have big pushes, so this to me would be 1, 2, 3. This is let me try that again. This would be a 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 5. There's our 5-wave move to the downside. I'm inclined to say that 1, 2. I go back and forth on this, guys. I really do. Inclined to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This expanded flat here is a 2-wave, and then we're making the 3rd wave to the downside. That's a very bearish count. Okay, so a very bearish count. It's a very bearish look on the market there. So this would be basically, 1, 2 expanded flat here. Okay, and then we're making the 3rd wave, and we're coming way down. Okay, and it's going to be a pretty deep one, fairly steep, fairly quick. All right, if that's not the case, then what we have then is that we have all this is 1, 2, 3. That's a 4-wave. Putting in the 5th wave, then we expect a 3-wave bounce coming up soon, and then we get our 3rd wave to the downside. So that's another possibility as well. Shoot, we might if that's the case, we might get a Christmas bounce and everybody gets excited, but don't get too excited, guys, because we're not going to the moon. What I suggest and what I plan on doing is watching the RSI. Okay, I'm going to be watching the RSI play out, and I want to see divergence. I want to see a divergent waves down here. I want to see it oversold as well on the 1-hour chart. That would be ideal to see and to kind of find a bottom here. And once I see that divergence, I'll probably take my profit, wait for a pullback. I don't know that I'll trade it to the top, trade it to the upside, but I'll wait for a pullback that shows me some reversal, or look for a good place to enter and then re-enter short there. Because the reason I'm going to do that is because I don't have the greatest entry from the top here. I believe this is the top. I don't have the greatest entry. My entry is in this region right here, and I don't have the greatest entry right now. So I'm going to look to better my entry by taking profit at the bottom of this wave at break even, or actually I did add to some of my short right here at the top of this wave at this short right here, and that's helped out my position a bit. But I want to get it even better. I'll wait for a pullback, so I'll exit my position and probably re-enter on a pullback. It's always dangerous because you never know how that pullback is going to come. But I'm going to wait for the RSI to confirm it and wait for the wave structure to confirm it. If I don't get confirmation with RSI and wave structure, then I'll just hold it, and that's okay. I held it up here for this push. I can hold it again. That's not a big deal. All right, because I know where price is going. Okay, we know where price is going. All right, so that's the way I'm looking at the market, guys. Again, the only way I can see any upside from here is that this is some kind of the end of the third wave. This is the fourth wave, and then we're coming up for 5, and that's going to get us up to the $7,800 region. I'm just not seeing that. That's not my bias. That's not my opinion as to how it's going to work and play. But we want to consider it and keep it on the table at least. Don't let Bitcoin. That's another good reason why I might exit down here if we get the final push with divergence on the 1 hour chart. It seems like it's trying to give me the divergence now, but it's not fantastic. But I'd like to see this I'd like to see this price come down a little bit more while the RSI goes up a little bit more. That would be ideal for me to see a better divergent chart there. All right, I think that's those are all the things I wanted to show you today, guys. I can't tell you exactly where price is going, but my targets are down here at $5,700. Eventually, how we get down there and what shape we get down there, anybody's guess. But I'm looking for 5 waves to the downside, so I'm looking for some shape to look pretty impulsive. Okay, I'm looking for something like that to the downside, and then I'm going to be looking long for a little bit, and it's going to be a nice, beautiful long. So we've been waiting long enough. We'll be able to, just wait a little longer for that long. So we'll talk more about that as it approaches. All right, you guys have a fantastic day. Merry Christmas to you. Glad you stopped by the channel today. Thank you again for helping me get past 2,000 subscribers. Really appreciate it. I need 6 more to hit 2020 or 2020, and that'd be kind of cool. Finish by the end of the year, just as a little landmark there. All right, have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Merry Christmas.